Welcome to day 161. We're in 1 Kings 15 through 17 and 2 Chronicles 16 and 17. Really today is kind of a strange one because we're trying to make sure we remember our order of our kings, who's doing what, who's evil in the Lord's sight, and who isn't. And then there's books and the number 7 that's mentioned again in this. So the kings, as we look at our list, and if you have a study Bible, they actually have a list of the kings in the order and the days, or excuse me, the years that they're in rule, and that's important. That's important to have it, but it's also important for you to do it. You know, when you're in school, the teacher's telling you the dates and stuff, and they know the dates. But if you don't write those things down, those are hard for you to remember. I'm not asking you to write those things down. I'm saying this is a good thing to kind of have for you to write down to help you understand it and keep it straight when it's right in front of you. Unless you're going to tag those pages that actually show who's who and where. But if you write it down, it helps commit it to memory and stuff. So a little teaching advice for you, learning advice really. The number 7, let's talk about that. And the kings, really this is all during Asa's reign, which is in Judah. He's the king of Judah. And you have all these other kings of the kingdom of Israel, the other 10 tribes. So it goes, you have Baasha, and then the son of Baasha is Elah, and then you have Zimri, okay? And this is the part we get to, and then you get to Omri and Tibni. I'll get to those in a second. But Zimri, his reign lasted 7 days. 1 Kings 16:15. Zimri began to rule over Israel in the 27th year of King Asa's reign in Judah. But his reign in Tirzah lasted only 7 days. The army of Israel was then attacking the Philistine town of Gibbethon, and they heard that Zimri assassinated Elah. So they elected Omri to be king, and he went and took care of Zimri. And then Omri, his supporters, there was a split between Omri and Tibni, and the supporters of Omri went and killed Tibni. So Tibni didn't even really become king. He was selected with his supporters, with Omri supporting him, but then there were more supporters of Omri than Tibni. I mean, but here's the thing. If you look at your list, if you make a list and you say things about them, so far, these are all people that did evil in the Lord's sight. It's not that the Judah kings didn't do some bad things, but they also repented. Rehoboam did some bad things. Abijah did some bad things. Asa began pleasing the Lord, and then in the end did some bad things. And his son Jehoshaphat took over, and Jehoshaphat did things in the Lord, good things in the Lord's sight, and the Lord was with him because in the early years of Asa, when Jehoshaphat was born, he learned about the Lord. So when Asa had died, Jehoshaphat understood what to do. So those types of things are important to understand about why the kings did the things they did, and why someone learned certain things and did bad things in the Lord's sight. But my point is, a lot of what you see in the Israel kings of the 10 tribes did evil in the Lord's sight because they broke away from what was important. Okay, and then books are mentioned. All the events of the kings are listed in the books of the kings of Israel. Well, they're named differently. So I wrote in here, I have the book of the history of the kings. I have the book of the history of the kings of Israel. I have the books of the history of the kings of Judah, and I have the books of the kings of Judah and Israel. So I think those are all the same, except when they're recording it, obviously when they were split, they had someone recording for the kings of Judah, and they have someone recording for the kings of Israel. And then they have the last one that was listed in 2 Chronicles 16:11. It says the kings of Judah and Israel. So they put them together. I don't know what all that means, but here is a cool little thing to end this day. Elijah comes on the scene. Elijah is the one that gets swept away at the end of his career, not the end of his life because he doesn't die, but we haven't read that yet. Elijah is the prophet. He comes on the scene and talks to Ahab. So Elijah in 1 Kings 17:1 says this: Now Elijah, who was from Tishbe in Gilead, told King Ahab, as surely as the Lord, the God of Israel lives, the God I serve, there will be no dew or rain during the next few years until I give the word. So Elijah is speaking for God, and he says, you're not going to get any dew or rain to Ahab. All right, so go to Revelation. I told you this is all related. There's two witnesses in the book of Revelation in chapter 11. Verse 3, it says, and I will give power to my two witnesses, and they will be clothed in burlap and will prophesy during those 1260 days. So that's another story, but there's two witnesses in the end times. Verses 5, 6, and 7. If anyone tries to harm them, fire flashes from their mouths and consumes their enemies. This is how anyone who tries to harm them must die. Okay, stop it there. Fire comes from their mouths. Just remember that. There's fire involved there. It comes from their mouths. Elijah doesn't have fire coming from his mouth as we continue to read. But keep that in the back of your mind. They have power to shut the sky so that no rain will fall as long as they prophesy. And they have the power to turn the rivers and oceans into blood and strike the earth with every kind of plague as often as they wish. So when we were back in Genesis, when we first started this, we talked about Enoch. Enoch was taken away. He did not die either. He could be one of the two witnesses. And we also said back then, these two witnesses could be two new people that God brings on the scene. But they have the same types of things that Enoch disappeared, he didn't die. Elijah was taken away, he didn't die. Some think maybe Moses could be one of them. We don't really know who those are, but no rain. What they do, there's no rain, no dew. Elijah said there's no rain, no dew until I say. So that's something for you to think about. It all is tied together. The prophets speak for God. These prophets speak for God. And then as we read in the next few days what Elijah does, which is really pretty cool. So that's your day 161. Keep your kings separated so you know who's who. Keep your list going because the lists just keep going on. It's amazing what we have here. Hopefully you found that to be the case. So that's your day 161. I'll see you tomorrow.